All right.
Keeping the ball rolling.
Let's
4
go.
o'clock games. We're touching on them now. You got the Falcons. Just had a tight squeeze loss there to the Saints. Going into the Rams, who just got handled by the Bills. And the Rams are a 10.5-point favorite in this one, which is
Crazy.
a little surprising to me after the beatdown they just got handed to from the Bills.
Very surprising.
I know they still have a better team across the board, but you got to like the Falcons still have Cordell Patterson, who hasn't missed a beat since last season. And they're not afraid to keep using him in what he was. Hey, you're a wide receiver. We're going to line you up at running back every single play, and then we'll move you around. But at the end of the day, I do go with the Rams. I just think the one difference maker is the fact that there is no secret weapon on that Falcons defense like Von Miller was for the Bills. He caused so much havoc and so much trouble for that Rams offense. I just don't see that being there for the Falcons.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going Rams here because I think this is the trending up week for the Rams. I think we're going to get to see some Cam makers this week. We didn't get to see Cam last week. Everybody's like, oh, my God, we got just Henderson last week. What's going on with Cam? What's going on? And they're like, oh, my God, what's going on with Allen Robinson? I didn't see Allen Robinson at all. What's going on? He wasn't even looking at him. He was on the field and he wasn't even looking. This is going to be that week where we see the Rams get back to form. I think this is a game where, Aaron Donald should be very effective on the up front, in the front seven. And like you said, Von Miller's going to eat. I hope he does a nice 3-day fast before this game because he's going to eat, and I think it's going to be tough. Mariota's going to be running for his life. I think it's going to be a tough game, I'm going Rams here. I like Drake London, though. I like Drake. That dude's
he's shined target.
He looked good last week.
Other than that one drop on the edge, he was ready.
Good. He
did look good last week.
He looked good down the middle, catching that ball and just running over. It looked like the DBs were like little lawn gnomes, and he was just trying to run through them. I don't know, man. Jalen Ramsey better have a good week this week. Last week he had a bad week. Come on, Jalen, you got to get going. You got to get it going.
Allen does have Jalen Ramsey's number, though. Jalen Ramsey has not had a good game against Josh Allen since calling him trash when he got drafted. Well, and especially last week where Josh Allen was perfect against him. I think he was 6 of 7 for over 200 and a touchdown.
Ouch. Well, this is Jalen Ramsey's bounce back week. All right, I'm calling it. Jalen Ramsey's bounce back. Rams it is.
I think there's lots of points in this game. I think the Rams are going to be on the gas pedal. I think, yes, the defense bounces back. I think they're going to tear Atlanta up at the end of the day. I think Atlanta will score because they got weapons. I love Cordell Patterson. I love Pitts. London looked really good again. I'm glad he's back healthy for the start of the season. But Mariota is like a Kyler Murray type, and what gives the Rams problems in the past is the power, and he's a finesse guy, and the Rams possess a lot of speed on defense still, even minus Von Miller, and that's going to be the undoing. I think the Rams defense is going to cause turnovers at home, and that's going to lead to points, and I think you'll see Allen Robinson. I think there's no doubt McVay is going to go in the lab and cook up one hell of a game plan on offense to make his boys look good after that last showing. I think this is the easy Rams win.
Yeah, because when you go back and look at that game film, and everybody talked, Allen Robinson wasn't looked at, like Eddie was saying. Like there were so many opportunities, and I think a lot of it was because of that Von Miller pressure and that defensive line of the Bills gave
it was Bills all day.
A heck of a time. 7 sacks. That he said, no, I'm not looking at anybody other than Cooper Kupp this week. Last week there on Thursday Night Football. So I think the game plan 100% changes. He gets more reads. He goes to his wide receivers 2s and 3s and 4s, and Cooper Kupp is still going to be Cooper Kupp. You can't take that away. He is the offense. Whether it's Stafford there or even when Goff is there, Cooper Kupp is that offense. But again, he will get more reads into other people this week.
The Falcons defense played pretty well for 3 quarters. They were looking like they were going to cruise to an easy victory. Grady Jarrett was in the backfield. I think they had like 7 sacks against Jameis. They were hitting him all day long. Ultimately, they ended up giving it up, and you could see some of the deficiencies that they have. But Atlanta played well last week and should have won that game. It was kind of sad to see them lose that one because that's another team where it would have meant a lot to them. Maybe they're not going to have a great successful season, but that's a big game for them whenever they play the Saints. So that was a tough
divisional game. Divisional game.
Yep. But yeah, lots of points in this one. I think it's silly.
Yeah.
40s to 20 something.
Thumbs up, thumbs down, Rams. Thumbs down on the Rams.
He's an Atlanta guy.
You didn't even
put a sandwich on it, Ree. Put a ham and cheese
Atlanta
on it.
It is? Atlanta thumbs up or thumbs down, Atlanta? Thumbs up, Atlanta. All right.
Easy.
All right. He's taking Atlanta.
Crazy.
He's taking Atlanta.
This is why he's on a guest appearance. He's not
because
regular.
it's a divisional. Because that's his divisional opponent. It's a divisional opponent for Reed because he loves Seattle. The upcoming game coming up next. He's a Seattle boy. He likes Seattle. All right, that's Carolina. His team. So he likes Carolina. Those are his two teams. But Seattle is his baby.
All wishful thinking at this point, though. Sorry.
All right, keeping the games rolling. We got. Speaking of Seattle, Seahawks, big win over Boston, the Broncos.
Huge.
Geno Smith looked smart enough. He wasn't prolific, I'd say. On paper, he was good, but he wasn't winning them the game.
Wow, dude, he looked great, dude. Come on.
Vintage Geno. What are you talking about, Brady? Vintage Geno.
You guys have to convince me on that. I don't think he was winning them that game. But they're going into the San Francisco 49ers, who did not look pretty against Chicago Bears. They are at home. They just got beat by Chicago. You can say the monsoon that hit them played a major factor because you take out half of Kyle Shanahan's playbook there, I think, with a heavy rainstorm where it kind of plays more into that sloppy style of Chicago and the freelancing that you get from a guy like Justin Fields. But at the end of the day, I think San Francisco 49ers win this. I don't think it's week started at 10. It's now at 8.5 since that Seahawks showing last week. I think it's a lot closer than that. I don't think Seattle has a double-digit victory here over the Seahawks. I think it's much closer. But I do think San Francisco wins this. I think their defense is hard-nosed. Their offensive line will do enough to let Trey Lance build into where he's comfortable.
I got to disagree with you, Brady. I'm going to go Seattle here. I'm hopping on a bandwagon. How do you not love? All right, everybody calm down. Everybody just calm down. I don't like the looks I'm getting right now. Listen. Everybody just
drop a game. Drop a game.
Everybody,
cool, man.
Everybody
look better.
Everybody just relax for a second, right? Okay, and all I want to say is that these rookies that the Seattle Seahawks got their hands on looking good. Okay, Cross, incredible.
Yes.
Abraham Lucas looks absolutely incredible. Okay, you got DJ Dallas running the ball hard. Okay, you got Woolen. I forget his first name. Tyreek Woolen. Okay, 6'4" DB with just lightning speed out there, just running around. The Boa Mafe, looking good. They got a lot of pieces, and they're trending upward. And I just think, maybe, just maybe, they got themselves a little juice winning that first game against Denver. Look, Pete Carroll, is no? Okay. Well,
nothing you're gonna say.
Well, he won one and he been to another. So, he's good enough to do it twice, right? I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen here. I'm just saying that maybe all the juice that they drank to beat Denver, they still got a little juice left, and they're going to drink that juice. And they're going to go out and they're going to play this divisional opponent, San Francisco 49ers, who got out the gate ugly against a Chicago team with, let's just face it, many questions. No Khalil Mack. You got your Roquan Smith, your best defender, wanting out. An offensive line that, arguably the year before was in shambles, rated dead last in the league in the trench. All right, you're missing Akeem Hicks. He's over here on what is it? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now. Okay, so on both sides of the ball in the trenches here, Chicago didn't look good. Chicago came out and walked all over the 49ers and won that game. Okay, I'm just saying, like, in the trenches, that's where Seattle looked good. And in the secondaries, there's some flashes here and there in the secondary. And then you got Geno, the quarterback. He came out and he played a hell of a game. Right, and he did a lot of things that everybody didn't think he could do. He came out and he beat the guy he was backing up, man. Cinderella story, man. You're out here floating around, Cinderella. I don't see why we can't. I don't see why we can't Cinderella it one more night, bro, before it turns 12. I'm going Seattle.
It's fair. It's fair, and I said it before the season. The Seahawks are going to be in just about every game, because of the young talent that they possess. They're going to be a pain in everybody's ass that they play. And I think it includes San Francisco as well. The thing is, when you get down to the meat and potatoes of it, I wouldn't say Seattle won the game. I say more so that Denver beat themselves. And I can tell you one thing, probably with absolute certainty, that the 49ers are not going to go 0 for 4 in the red zone this game. And if Denver would have just went 1 for 4 in the red zone, they win the game. I think it's going to be a problem for Seattle. It's similar to the Rams. Like, Shanahan is going to come out and put his best foot forward, because that was a little embarrassing, I think, all the way around there for San Francisco. That's, Trey Lance is our guy, this, that, and the other. So I think Trey Lance looks a little better on the ground. I think the ground game works better, minus all that rain. I think they get back to the basics with defense, and I think it's a close game. I think that's way too many points to give San Francisco. But I don't see a way for Seattle to win this. I mean, there's always a way, but it's going to take San Francisco beating themselves for Seattle to be sitting at 2-0. Not that I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I think it's not as much of an indictment on Seattle. I think they're going to play to the best of their abilities. It's just that San Francisco has a higher ceiling with their abilities at this point. But I said it before the season, I'm not high on San Francisco, and I don't think they're going to do much this game. That's just going to be like, oh yeah, they were almost in the Super Bowl last year. I think there's going to be still a lot of questions about San Francisco.
Yeah. Before I jump on that Seattle, I want to slow Eddie down here a little bit, because you can touch on the trenches, you can touch on Geno playing a mistake-free game, but ultimately what won them that game was the fact that the Broncos fumbled it twice on the goal line, and they had 12 penalties for 107 yards. Now, you can look at that and go, oh, well, San Francisco had 12 penalties for 99 against Chicago. Like, oh, why can't they do that again? And they don't have a Russ at QB to come back from that. But they still have just as good running backs. They still have just as good running back committee there.
Well, that's where they're hurt right now.
Be fumbling the ball at the 1 yard line.
Elijah Mitchell's done for the year.
Elijah Mitchell's going to be out, yeah.
He's done for the year.
Yeah, but you saw last year when Raheem Mostert went out, and they're like, oh, what are the San Francisco going to do? Oh, we're going to have our 6th-round draft pick, Elijah Mitchell, come out and run for 180 yards on you.
It doesn't seem to matter in San Francisco.
It don't matter in San Francisco when you run behind that left tackle there, Trent Williams.
He's the best in the league. For sure. Yeah, I mean he's definitely elite. I just like the young talent on defense that they have. They have so much speed on defense. It reminds me of like almost Panther-esque, where there's like so many young guys that have so much size and so much speed. That Tariq Woolen is really something to keep an eye on. This DB, he's 6'4". He's got an incredible 40 time. I mean, it's just he's got elite speed as a rookie. I mean, you just, I mean, it's not just him. It's not just him. I mean, they got some players and they got some hitters on that squad.
They do when they work. The linebacker that replaced Bobby Wagner.
Yeah,
he
Jordan
played
Brooks.
well, he shined.
Jordan
when he
Brooks.
gave up big plays, he gave up big plays though.
For sure.
Yeah, it's going to be hit or miss with Seattle because
It's a
having
young
all
team.
that young talent, which they do have, is going to create a lot of good things. But then on the flip side of it, you got, mistakes just from lack of experience, which are going to happen.
For sure.
So, there's pros and cons there. But I like where Seattle's going. They're building their team in the right way, in my eyes.
In the right direction. They're trending in the right direction.
Yeah. No doubt. And I think they're going to be in every game. And I don't like, I said it last year when they made the Trey Lance trade, I don't like the direction San Francisco's going in.
Right.
All right. So we got Eddie there in Seattle. We know Henry's on the Seattle. We don't even got to ask him.
Yep.
Me and
Thumbs
Charlie
up.
got the 49ers edging it out. We don't think it's going to be a blowout by the 49ers, but Vegas does. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm surprised. That's a big spread. That's a big spread.
Take the points here, people.
Next game, Cincinnati, 7.5-point favorite, just lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going into the Dallas Cowboys, just lost Dak, just lost another offensive lineman. Their defense guy even got a little bit banged up, if I remember correctly, there against Tampa Bay. One of their D linemen, I think, had to, slide out.
No, they lost their safety.
Their safety?
Yeah,
I thought they lost a defensive lineman, too, there, off of one of the tackles there. But I think because I thought it was one of the big boys, like something like a Brown or something like that, or Boyce or something with a B. I could be wrong. But I like the Bengals here. I'd like them bouncing back. I don't think the Cowboys have a rhythm yet. They didn't have a rhythm against Tampa last week. You're bringing in Cooper Rush. And I think you can't build off of that rhythm. They tried when Cooper Rush came in, he started off looking a little good with nice, safe passes to the outside, which works for Cowboys, which I don't know why they abandoned that after their first drive. But Kellen Moore over there, he thought he saw something that he, apparently didn't see, and they abandoned that. But I don't think Cooper Rush is enough for them to win this game, whether they play it safe all game long. Cincinnati can score fast when they need to. They have a forget of mistakes. Joe Burrow started that game with 3 interceptions before he even scored a touchdown, and they were right back in it. And I do think Dallas's defense can shine in similarity to Pittsburgh's, but they don't have that back end safety net of a Minkah Fitzpatrick there. So that's why I have Cincinnati winning it, because they can score fast. They have a forgetful memory. And then the Cowboys just don't have a rhythm on offense to do enough to win a game yet.
You got
Eddie?
Michael Gallup, is questionable. James Washington, injured reserve. Jalen Kearse, J-Ron Kearse, the safety, and Dak Prescott. You know what I'm saying? And you got a bunch of people that have been out since August. You know what I mean? September 12th, you had the defensive end Basham, questionable.
That was the guy who
and
I saw.
Connor
I remember him
McGovern
going down into play.
Former Jet, yeah.
And that happened on September 13th, September 12th. But they're questionable, so that's what it's saying.
They're hopeful to get Gallup back by this week, maybe third week.
Right.
I
got Cincinnati. I got Cincinnati here because I love Burrow and what they've been doing. That Burrow and Jamar Chase, man, it's hard to bet against. It really is. They lost against Pittsburgh, divisional opponent. They know each other well. And then you had TJ Watt. That's definitely what the factor was over there. A lot of missed kicks. Special teams let them down. McPherson missed one.
Ennis did too.
I hope Fearson gets his swag back this game. And I think ultimately there's no way you're telling me you're taking Dallas because that quarterback situation over there, whatever they got going on there, I don't like it. I'm going Joe Cool here. It's because it's Cool Daddy O. He's got this, bro. You know what I mean? No problem. 4 interceptions don't matter. I'm coming back and winning anyway. So I'm going I'm going Cincy.
Going Cincy. I'm scared for Burrow, though. 7 sacks. I mean, they picked up right where they left off. Me and Eddie talked about it being the reason, or one of the reasons why we were going to go Pittsburgh last week. And giving up 7 sacks, Joe Burrow doesn't need to be hit that much. You just spent a bunch of money. So I hope they get that right. Dallas was in Tom Brady's face all night. It's the only unit that showed up for them. Probably the only unit that's really going to show up for them on this week's game as well. I think hopefully the Cowboys get their play calling right, because that was just as ugly to see. I don't know why they didn't involve Pollard and rely more on
your boy Kellen Moore.
when
What
they
are you
were
talking
struggling
about?
with the pass and the pass protection after Connor Williams went down. That surprised me. So, and then Eddie sent me the article about Jerry Jones throwing the coaching staff under the bus. And, my reply to that was, if I owned the team and I was the general manager, not to say that he does a lot of right things, but I'd be upset with the way my coaching staff called the game as well. I was displeased watching it and shaking my head. I was like, well, what are they trying to do? So Dallas is definitely, I think Brady's right. They got to get all on the same page. Some of these teams that don't get the continuity going during the preseason, some of them can handle it, some of them can't. And Dallas could not. And now you're going to have to start over with a new quarterback minus Dak for, at least 5 or 6 weeks. I don't believe the 4-week expedited timeline's smart. But the Cowboys are going to have to float. They're in a good division to float and tread water. So, I mean, they're going to have to figure it out. I don't think it's against the Bengals. Although the Bengals are going to be missing T. Higgins, because that's a big loss for them as well. But I think the Bengals, at the end of the day, with Joe Cool, better quarterback play, will ultimately win out. But I want to see the Bengals protect Burrow, man. Wow, you got to protect that dude. You got to protect him. He's already had one massive injury, and he goes down just like any team's number one around the league. He goes down, you're done pretty much. If you lose your starter for the year at the quarterback position, your season's pretty much in the books. You're just gonna play it out. So yeah, definitely a better job on that. But I got the Bengals. Fournette was able to run on the Dallas Cowboys defense, give it to Mixon, soften things up for Burrow, make it a little easier.
Yeah, I mean, when you touch on the 7 sacks on Burrow, Micah Parsons is coming into this angrier than he did the Bucs game, because the NFL was kind of talking trash on him on Twitter, and he shouted, "This needs to be an illegal block." He didn't say it needs to be an illegal block, but Von Miller said it should be an illegal block.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that argument, because if you're going to take that as an illegal block, then you need to take out illegal blindside tackles on a quarterback, because if he can't see you and you're hitting him hard from behind, then a guy chipping you to your chest just because you're not looking at him.
Which we don't want to see that. We don't want to see any more two-hand touch rules be implemented. Let them hit how they hit.
No, what rule they need to get rid of is that fucking Tadius Moss hit on my fucking shiny new fucking race car, Kayvon Thibodeau, bro. Where the fuck is the fucking NFL on that play? Come on, bro. That kept him out of week 1, bro. And you're going to sit here and you're going to tell me that play was a clean play. It just was poor execution. Get the zebra?
Yeah.
Come on. What are you talking about,
whenever
bro?
anybody gets hit without
a 6'5", bro, a 6'5", a guy who's 6'5" and a guy who's 6'3". You're telling me he got low enough to hit Kayvon in the knee, and you're telling me that wasn't by design?
I touched on it last year off of something Tom Brady said, where you have all these receivers, and I mean, you already have it with, you can't do chop blocks with wide receivers coming in on DNs anymore. You can't do chop blocks between 2 offensive linemen, one going high, one going low anymore. That's where Fournette hit Micah Parsons right in the chest.
Yeah, that was
it was a legal hit. It was a good hit,
right in the shoulder blade.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
But Tom Brady had talked about it last year. He goes, you can't have these receivers going up for jump balls and then worrying about when they land if their ankle's going to get broken. That's a scenario I could see where I agree with the rule, but this whole wanting DNs if you're going to be that much of a factor like Micah Parsons is, you were just last year's Rookie of the Year. You are this year's potential Defensive Player of the Year. You are a threat across the board. You want someone not to double team you. You're trying to play the cards to your favor, and it's just like.
Well, let's be fair here. That was Von Miller who said that, not Micah Parsons.
No, Michael Parsons says he doesn't like it. It wasn't fair. We watched the game one-on-one. Like, watch me one-on-one with Leonard Fournette. Like, Leonard Fournette's not going to block you one-on-one. He's not a great. Everybody around the league knows he's not a great pass blocker. But when you're that much of a person, you can be upset. But when you're that much of a threat on the defensive line, and you expect not to be chipped, you expect not to be like a tight end, bumping you with his shoulder and then rolling out. Like, it's just going to happen.
I think that was a way better block than what Kayvon Thibodeau got. That's all I got to say about it. I mean,
for sure.
If you compare the two, then Micah has nothing to argue. I mean, if you compare the two, that's all I'm saying. It's not like Lenny came around that corner.
Argue in the first place. That's a clean play.
But it's not like but I'm saying it's not like, well, the argument was over there. They're saying that should be an illegal play. I'm saying that Kayvon Thibodeau play should be illegal, and Lenny didn't come around the corner and then dip down towards the knee, because then I would say that's dirty. But then you look at the Tadius, it's like that's exactly what he did, bro. He was a tight end in motion. He's here. Thibodeau is here. Hikes the ball. He comes down. Knee.
Yeah, Thibodeau got hit by someone where he wasn't looking. Micah Parsons was looking in the backfield. If you get hit by somebody who's already in the backfield, that's kind of your own problem for not looking at what's ahead of you. If you're only looking at the guy in front of you.
But it's not like Tadius tried to hit him up top like Lenny did, is what I'm saying. I'm saying that's a dirty play and it shouldn't be.
I'm agreeing with you, Eddie. I'm just
regardless if he's seen it or not.
For that hit. Thibodeau wasn't even. That's what I'm saying. Like, Thibodeau wasn't even able to prepare for that hit. I agree.
Yeah.
It's the fact that Micah should be able to see that hit. You should be able to see where the running back is, because you need to know whether I'm going to go inside or outside based on where the running back's coming.
All right, let's get into the schematics at another show. Let's get it going. Let's keep it rolling, boys.
You got the Houston Texans just tied the Colts. I think playing to their ceiling, some might say, going into the Denver Broncos, who kind of played to their floor last week against the Seattle Seahawks. This is a tough one. Denver's a 10-point favorite, and if Denver continues to make the coaching errors, the penalties, the fumbles, it ain't going to look pretty for them again, because the Texans are, hard-hitting. They're playing kind of smart. But I think after last week and last week's showing and them freezing on that, that last minute and like not knowing what they're going to do, they had like 5 different options, better options than what they did of saying, let's waste 30 seconds before we call a timeout and not even look like we're going to try faking a hike. We lined up for no reason. Nobody was ready. And you think the defense is going to jump off sides for that? That was all BS. They had 10 other options they could have done to at least had something go in their way. But I think so. With that being said, they're going to go back to the film room. Russ is going to give his take to Hackett, and it's going to rely more on Russ this week than it is Hackett's decisions. So I'm going Denver.
I'm going Houston here.
Oh.
I like the Davis Mills kid. And I think they're just going to keep improving this team. They played a really good Indianapolis Colts team that has an exceptional run game, an exceptional quarterback in Matt Ryan. They have really good size at receiver, some good speed at receiver, Indianapolis. And I think the Colts, the Texans were able to hold that in check of just 20 points. I just think the Texans are going to come out business as usual and just play knockaround guys and not really care who's on the other side of the ball. They're just going to come and they're going to play. I refer to them as the AFC Detroit Lions. And I think that they're just going to come out and play, man. And I like Mills. And they're just going to put their best foot forward. And I think that overall, they're going to pull out and get a dub this week. They're not going to tie. It's going to get a dub. And I just see that coaching staff being so rook with the rookie decisions and taking the ball out of Russ's hands. And I'm not saying that it's going to be a complete debacle this week, but you brought up the mistakes, and there were so many of them. To clean all that up in just 1 week it would be amazing to me to think that they're not going to come out, have a bunch of penalties, or the coaching staff's not going to drop the ball on this one. I don't know. I'm taking David Mills this week. I don't know about Denver. I like Javonte Williams. Judy had 102 yards, 2 touchdowns. Judy looked good. Judy looked real good. 1 touchdown? 1 touchdown. Thought it was 2.
Just one deep ball.
Yep. Had a drop on the last drive. I think both of y'all summed it up for me. Denver has chemistry and continuity issues. And in the NFL, that's not a good recipe. And I'm taking the Texans too. I'm on with you, Eddie. Davis Mills is going to be solid. 2 touchdowns, good passer rating, good completions, no turnovers last week. What did Denver just give up to Geno Smith? 23 of 28 and 2 touchdowns. I think Denver is one of those teams where it's a lot of new pieces. They didn't play, they didn't get the preseason work in. And if they indeed do what you said, Brady, which is, okay, we're just going to put more on Russ, that is a complete shift in leadership, and that just shows the lack of leadership and continuity and chemistry within the team. Good decision, though, by the way, because they should have put the ball in his hands last game. So, I mean, that's a no-brainer for me. But just the fact that that type of communication and chemistry hasn't been worked out yet, and we're in the regular season. That's preseason stuff. Yeah, I mean, so
rookie head coach.
I get it. I think I picked Denver to finish last in the division, and I think, I loved it when I heard the trade because I was happy for Russ, and I was like, oh, he's gonna make Javonte better. He's gonna do this. Judy and Sutton, they're gonna have, and you could see that he's a way better passer, and that offense looks way better. I was kind of suspect about the defense a lot of times, though, because they were very much out of position, and that was something that they were really good under, what's the guy's name, the former coach?
He's over there in where'd he just go?
Forget his name, but he had brought that defense to where it is.
Did he just go to Minnesota? Sorry,
I'm not sure. No, he's not. I don't remember, but he's not there anymore. I think Denver's slow out the gates. I like what the Texans do. I think they're a solid team, and yeah, I think they come out with the win here in Mile High. I think the Broncos got some stuff to figure out. The Broncos are a more talented team, but I think Eddie hit the nail on the head, and the Texans are the more put together solid team right now. I'm not a fan of Lovie Smith by no stretch of the imagination, but I think he's at this point, experience-wise, he's got the edge in the coaching matchup too. So I'm going Texans.
Yeah, Ed Donatil was the Broncos defensive coordinator last year. He is now in Minnesota with O'Connell.
Yes. And Vic Fangio, that's who I was trying to think of.
Vic Fangio, sorry.
He was looking at the architect of that whole thing previously before taking over head coach, and he's no longer there.
Yes, they did shine there on defense, so that's why I was looking at defensive coordinator. You were looking at head coach.
Yeah, well, he was the former D coordinator and took over head coach last year. Mm-hmm. So no, the defense for the Broncos looked suspect, and they got talent back there. They shouldn't look suspect. But yeah, I'm taking Texans.
All right.
It's a big spread too. I think that one's 10 points as well. So
Reed, thumbs up or thumbs down on Denver? Thumbs up.
He likes Denver.
He's a Russ sweetheart.
Denver.
That's all right. That's all right.
We should have known that was coming.
All right. Next game. This one was a tough one. Final 4:00 game here on Sunday. You got the Arizona Cardinals, who just got handed a butt whooping by Patrick Mahomes and KC, going into the Vegas Raiders, who had a tight matchup there with the Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. So both teams coming into this 0-1. I gotta say, I kind of like Vegas Raiders on this one. They are a 5.5-point favorite. I mean, I do have questions with their O-line, but I don't think there's enough weapons there on that Cardinals D-line to give enough trouble to where Derek Carr can't get the ball where he needs it to go. He's got Adams, he's got Waller, he's got Renfro, and he's still got Josh Jacobs. And if they can manufacture ways to run the ball, they need to, maybe change it up a little bit, bring in these backup third string tight ends like the Bucs were doing they come inside and you have your center and guard going outside and you find a way for Lenny Fournette to break off on a 20-yard run. Something like that.
That was beautiful what the Bucs did.
You got a little gem there on the D line in the trench. Arizona Arizona Cardinals, Cameron Thomas, San Diego State, D tackle. So watch out for him moving forward in the trench for Arizona.
I mean, I like Arizona has their potential, but they're one of those teams that over the offseason, they just got worse, and somehow people are expecting them to be as good or better than they were last year. You know, similar to the Cowboys. They did nothing but technically get worse on paper, and people were like, oh, they should be right back in the playoffs. Well, your division got harder, and you got worse. So,
it's an excellent comparison.
But we'll see.
It's an excellent comparison. I mean, I don't have much else to touch on with Arizona and the trench over there with them, but I do recall them drafting that Cameron Thomas. I think he moving forward he'll be good. They also got Rondell Moore's a little chipped up, so that's going to add some more question marks to what it is that Arizona is going to be able to do in the passing game. But I'm taking Vegas here. I'm taking the money. I'm going where the money is. And I also, let's just face it. I love the trenches for the defensive side of the ball for the Vegas Raiders. I mean, how do you not love Max Crosby? This guy's running around out there like a Bugatti, man. He's just, he's 100 miles an hour out there, engine that don't quit, I mean, he's out there getting it. He's going. And then on the other side you got Chandler Jones. You got another one who's a problem. He's a havoc. You got to watch out for him. I mean, I think
it could be.
Sorry
to cut you up with Chandler Jones. That's one of them pieces of a DN switching teams. How good is he going to look against the old people that he used to practice against?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
he had to kind of hold back on in practice, right? Because he's like, I'm not supposed to hit the quarterback. Yeah. Now I'm supposed to hit the quarterback against these guys.
Yeah,
they can't stop me.
This is going to be an emotional game here. There's
saw
definitely
Von Miller. You saw Khalil Mack.
A special. Yeah, this is going to be a special game for him on defense. I don't like what the Raiders have on the offensive line and Derek Carr, but again, like you said, I don't know that, and I don't know that Cameron Thomas will be enough, to just single-handedly come in and dominate the line of scrimmage to allow Arizona to come out on top. I'm going against the feathers on this one. I'm taking Vegas. I just like the Raiders better. You got Carr and Devontae Adams. One diamond in the rough on the Cardinals isn't going to change this game. I'm going Raiders.
Yeah, the Cardinals got a lot of holes to me. I said it last week. I thought KC would roll. I think the Raiders are going to have a pretty easy time with them as well. J.J. Watt's still chipped up. He's questionable. If he plays, that'll be a big-time bonus. Because, again, like we touched on with the Chiefs game, they blitzed 54% of the time, league high, and were unsuccessful. And then on the offensive side, if Rondell's still chipped up, you're limited on your weapons, man. You really are. And, again, Kyler's going to be facing, both Chandler Jones and Max Crosby, I believe, are around 6'5".
6'6".
Chris Jones and that KC D-line were causing all kinds of problems, knocking down passes left and right. It's going to be an issue. The Raiders defense isn't crazy good. They might be without leading tackler from last year, Denzel Perryman, former Kane, as well. But I think Derek Carr is going to be able to pick who he wants to go to on a pretty regular basis, and a second or cornerbacks for Arizona that are not at an elite level. I do love the two safeties back there, Baker, and I forget the other guy's name off the top of my head, but those two guys are elite. But the Cardinals got a lot of holes right now, and Brady's right. They didn't really get better. You need D-Hop back to make that offense a little bit more versatile. I'm not a fan of just having, James Conner back there, although he scored again. He's definitely a threat in the red zone, but I think you got to have a 1-2 punch with him, and letting Chase Edmonds go, like I said last week, it's a big deal. That was the lightning to his thunder, and yeah, I think it's Vegas.
We think
across the board.
Vegas, thumbs up, thumbs down, Ree. Hey, Vegas.
Agreed. All right, moving on. Sunday Night Football, big time history matchup here. Chicago Bears 1-0, just got a nice victory over San Francisco, going into the Green Bay Packers. I said would start off a little slow on offense. Is this their week they come back? They are a 10-point favorite into this. I do think now that Rodgers and those wide receivers have their feet wet, they're ready to, dive in and go swimming. They may not be a 10-point game because that Bears defense does, they seemed a little, had a lot of fight in them when they, nobody really believed in them. But there's Trey Lance and then there's Aaron Rodgers. As bad as Aaron Rodgers can look, and it's week one, he wasn't pretty last week. It's still Aaron Rodgers because he was still an MVP candidate despite last year's week one against the Saints, and he can still do it again this year despite week one against the Vikings, who kind of have the number right now. They're the team that wants to be on top. They do trying to trend in the right way, and so I just think Rodgers now gets to say, hey, Christian Watson, that ball, you got to catch it, and then maybe I won't ghost you for 3 quarters, but that we'll come to see. I got Packers winning this.
I too want to say the Packers, but I'm going Bears. I'm jumping on the wagon. I'm going Bears.
Crazy.
Lazard's ankle. He just practiced limited. I mean, what's that ankle gonna really be? You know what I mean? How bad is this ankle really? How swole is this ankle really? And I mean, is you're telling me that's the ace? Just Lazard's coming back on one ankle, and that's what's gonna win this game? Because we can sit here and you can say all the hell you want, right? That they got Aaron Rodgers, right? But
that was your argument last week.
I know, but I'm not dumb this week. I'm coherent this week. And it's like yeah. Rodgers is still going to be putting the ball where only they can catch it, but
they got to catch it.
1-7 ain't there no more. And Lazard coming back with half an ankle, you know what I'm saying, just really isn't really making me, it's not really just tickling my fancy right now. And I just want to point out that the Bears last week up against this elite defensive line from the San Francisco 49ers didn't really do much. And you got this Larry Broom was Pro Football Focus 14th highest graded offensive lineman in week 1, pending the Monday night game. He allowed only 1 pressure and no sacks in 58 snaps, 24 passes, 34 runs, and he's ranked 17th in run blocking grade amongst 27th in 20. He rates 17th in the run, 27th in the pass, amongst a pool of 72 other offensive linemen. And this rookie for the Bears that they swooped in and got. Needed. Yeah, that they swooped in and got, played a hell of a game. Ranked 14th best offensive lineman week 1. And I think that's going to trend moving forward in that direction for them. And I think this is going to be a hell of a matchup, right? Because, I mean, it's not like Green Bay's defense is just going to let them, But I think these rookie wide receivers, I don't think you're immediately going to get on page now. You had how many weeks? Week 1, it looked terrible. You think week 2 is going to be leaps and bounds better? I'm not going to say the Bears are going to be leaps and bounds better coming into this week, right? But I just think that Justin Fields is going to go out there and he's going to try and put his team in the best position to win, just like Aaron Rodgers is. But I just don't see these boys miraculously, magically catching the ball now because people said so. You couldn't do it week 1. What makes you think you're going to do it week 2? I just can't, and it's not Aaron Rodgers' fault. He's putting the ball on the money, Like, it's not his fault. These boys ain't catching it. You're not changing that, bro. As long as these names are still on the back of the jersey, it's what we're going to get. It's what you're going to get. I'm going Bears. The Bears. And plus, that defense played pretty good.
I agree with you, Eddie. I agree with everything you said about Lazard, to the rookie wide receivers, to expectations of it becoming in a week what they couldn't get accomplished in the preseason. It's going to be a slow coming along party for them. The big thing that I'm amazed that you glossed over is the combination of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. And I think that is what the Packers are going to lean on in the interim, why this other thing gets sorted out. I think Aaron is able to do enough to throw for 240, maybe 2 touchdowns. But I think on the running game is really where the game is going to swing to the Packers. Not to mention that Packers defense is going to be very looking for a bounce back performance because Justin Jefferson torched them last week, and Jair Alexander was extremely upset that he wasn't manned up. It's not the coverage that they play the zone coverage, so he wasn't allowed to follow Jefferson for that matchup to even happen. But I think they're going to give the Bears problems. I think Fields is going to make plays, but I think he's also going to continue to be pressured. I like that, they finally have found somebody, a piece on the offensive line to shine, because Lord knows Fields needs it. And his legs, we saw his playmaking ability last week. I wasn't overly impressed with anything Fields did because I saw a lot of that stuff last season. I want to see consistent pockets for him to throw the ball in before,
He was less than 50% completion, I believe. So
yeah, it wasn't extremely pretty, but he made plays. He showed why. He showed the talent and the escapability. He's a multi-purpose guy. And still my favorite to continue to climb.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears.
The Packers here. What's that?
I said Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears.
Yeah, he does. He does, and that's gonna be a little chip on the shoulder from last year. I guarantee you, the Bears didn't forget about that. In the second meeting in Lambeau last year, the Bears, I think, were either leading or just behind the Packers at halftime. Packers ultimately ended up pulling away and winning that game. But the Bears are a hungry, hungry team, and their leader is already Justin Fields because it's so young. So they're going to put up a hell of a fight. I don't think it's possibly the biggest spread that is put on this game right now. I think it's 10. And it might be a reach. I think 10 in the NFL, man, that's a wide gap. That's a game maybe you put the Bills on somebody at this point in time, but so I think it's closer. I think it's closer than it was last year because the Bears are making strides. I love lots of their defensive pieces, even though you made fun of me last week about them. They've got some playmakers back there. And against a young rookie receiving core, I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to create a turnover or two and stay in this game. But I think Packers ultimately rely on that run game and that defensive line and the defense as a whole, and they win.
I'm hopping on the wagon, man. It's free. I'm going on the wagon.
Yeah,
wagon it is.
One thing I wanted to touch on is the fact that we know the Packers offense struggled, and that Charlie touched on a little bit, is how this Green Bay Packers, while banged up, is still a top tier defense. So let's not forget who they lost to. They lost to the Minnesota Vikings, who have an offense ready to score. They have a new coach who I'll talk on when we get to it, finds a way to get his playmakers the ball, right? You don't have this in Chicago. Justin Fields is wiry. He can create problems, but you don't have the coach that can create those problems.
Or the Justin Jefferson on the outside.
Or the Justin Jefferson to create those problems.
Happen.
Or the run game.
You don't have the running back like Cook to hit the middle and go,
Wagon.
There is pieces. And before I can do any sort of...
Montgomery and Khalil Herbert, the combo there. Now, that could be, that's debatable, although Cook is better, obviously. But those two are a nice combo with each other. But just the outside weapons for Fields right now, it's tough. It's so tough. He's got to create so much. And it's hard to do over 4 quarters.
Yeah. I mean, my issue with Charlie saying jump on the wagon and then Charlie saying they're hungry, I don't think they're as hungry as they are, as they're just playing because they have nothing to lose. Because when going into the season, they weren't doing as much tweeting about the team they're tweeting about the land they bought in Arlington, Texas, talking about moving over there. You know, they're no longer going to be the Chicago Bears. They're going to be the Arlington Bears or wherever if they change. Like, I just don't think they're playing for anything to lose. They have a defensive head coach. You know, they're not. I think they're just right now sliding by and just playing football. Like, I don't think they're hungry to win. I think they just don't play. They're not playing because they have nothing to lose. I don't know if you guys see it.
They're all professionals. I mean, maybe the ownership might be looking a different direction, but I don't think the team has given up before they even started the season. I mean, watching them slide around in the rain, they looked a pretty together bunch for the most part because they're a hodgepodge of a lot of rejects from a lot of other teams. A lot of free agents. I would too
if I just had an upset win where I was I think a 12-point underdog going into that game. You know, so sure. I mean. That comes into that to me that kind of plays into the fact that they have nothing to lose. They're playing to have fun.
Yeah, and that's dangerous. Sure.
But we'll keep the game rolling. That's